Hey, how's it going, everybody? Ben Axelrod, Nick Camino coming to you just a couple of hours here after the Cleveland Browns 31-21 week 2 win over the Houston Texans. And Nick, we're going to make this short and sweet here, but just wanted to check in with you and get your post-game thoughts following the Browns week 2 win.
Yeah, I think there's a part of me, Ben, that sometimes after these kinds of games has to step back and tell myself, okay, this is the NFL. Crazy things can happen. The Browns didn't lose a football game today. They got their first win for their home opener. I'm really trying to take a glass half full approach. You see a lot of different things out there where it's like, oh, they look so bad and the defense is a mess and you shouldn't be, that close with this kind of team. I mean, come on. I mean, we're not that far removed from from a team that was really bad. And I know that's not, the bar you want to set, but you got a victory, move on. You've got the Bears coming up next week, an opportunity to improve to 2-1. And listen, I know we can pick apart this team, and there's obviously some injuries that are unfortunate too, Ben. But for the most part, if we really step back for a second here, it wasn't all that bad today.
Yeah, it's funny because you and I talked on our gambling show, Chalk Talk, last week about how that loss to the Chiefs in week 1 felt like a win in some ways because you felt better about the Browns' outlook for the season, even though they lost to, a team that I think a lot of people could argue is maybe the best in the NFL. And so you have a week 1 loss that feels like a win, and now you have a week 2 win that some fans think feels like a loss. But I'm with you. I mean, I think that you just do not take wins for granted in the NFL, especially, for the Browns. Like, that's what's important here is just building your record out here, beating the teams who you're supposed to beat. To go back to gambling here, they didn't cover the spread. It was a near 2-touchdown spread, but they do wind up winning by 10 points. And really, you look at all the things that went wrong for the Browns in this game, starting with Jarvis Landry leaving the game with a knee injury. It seems like he might be out here for a few weeks with what is a MCL injury. And then obviously the big one, Baker Mayfield going down, going into the medical tent, going into the locker room, but ultimately not missing a snap. And I do think, talking to Kevin Stefanski after the game, that certainly did seem to affect the way that he called the game from an offensive standpoint. The rest of the way, they were very conservative, relied a lot on the run game, relied on short passes. I just don't think they wanted to risk Baker Mayfield getting hit, especially behind a banged up offensive line, at least as far as the left tackle position is concerned.
Yeah, I think it got to a point in that game where it was, okay, we need to do ultimately what it's going to take to win this football game. And that's going to Chubb and Hunt and making sure you can dominate the trenches. And I thought the Browns did a nice job of that. So, you take this win, you move on, Ben. You got the Bears next week. I don't know if people saw this, but Andy Dalton got a little bit banged up in the Bears win over the Bengals, his former team. So Justin Fields got into the game. Maybe we see the former Ohio State quarterback next week. There's going to be some storylines with that matchup. The Bears will be 1-1. The Browns will be 1-1. So a lot to look forward to. And again, yeah, we can always pick apart different things that we want, but on the surface, you look at it, it's a win, and you move on to week 3.
Definitely, and we will move on to week 3 now ourselves, looking ahead to that Browns week 3 matchup between the Browns and the Bears, back at First Energy Stadium. So a chance to string together a couple of wins at home before heading out to Minnesota for Kevin Stefanski's long-awaited NFL homecoming against his former team, the Vikings. So that's going to do it for us here for Nick Camino. I'm Ben Axelrod. Thank you for watching us on WKYC.com.